Hey everyone, I thought I would just talk about what I'm going to do today. So I have these pictures from Valentine's Day where we went to a southern place here in Connecticut to eat. And I am a southern girl at heart, so fried chicken is my thing. And then there was also jambalaya, which John likes a lot. And the place is called Black Eyed Sally's. And I have just a little bit of this authentique paper left. And it was called Ingredients, I think. And so it has things about food, and then it has casserole dishes, and a couple of just really cute little sayings. This really bright blue that I really liked. And a lot of it's about baking, but I thought it would still work for what I'm wanting to do for these particular pictures. So I am going to try to use this paper to get these 3 pages done. I also found in the new Vicky Bouton there were some stickers about food. So I'm here for the food, bon appetit, knife, fork, spoon, a heart. I have these wood hearts, and I think that what I'm going to do is emboss them with red to kind of make them stand out some more. I have some red labels. I'm going to use a date stamp. So that's my plan. So hopefully after this I'll put you on fast forward and you can watch what I do. Thanks.
Okay, so welcome back. So the first thing I'm going to do is emboss those wood veneer pieces. Now, one of the things that I learned by watching some Ali Edwards videos during December Daily was that wood veneer, because of the way that it's porous, the Versamark doesn't really stick very well the first time. So, one of the tricks that I have found, and you'll see this, is to do it twice. So, this first time I'm doing it, I'm getting as much as I can on these, and you'll see as I kind of shake them off, you can actually see the wood through the red. And I gave up using those tweezers on the heart because I just couldn't connect with them. They kept floating away. So I'm going to do the red the first time, and I'm not going to make you sit through watching me dry all these. I do have the Tim Holtz heat gun. I don't think that it gets as hot as some of the other heat guns that are out there, but it works for me, and it's the only heat gun I have, so it's what I use. But I set the embossing powder the first time, and it doesn't give a really solid coat. It kind of still looks mottled. But then what you'll see is I go back and I do it a second time. And so I actually just keep all that red embossing powder in there. And when I do it the second time, it gets that full coat because what it has is it has a set of the first embossing powder that lets the Versamark attach to the material. So if you're doing wood veneer, and the same applies to chipboard, I really recommend doing the embossing twice. And that's just a little trick that I have picked up, and it really works. So I'm going to go ahead and set these again, and once again, I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. So you can see over there on the left, and I will pop them up, that now those hearts that used to kind of look mottled or muddy are now a really nice, solid, glossy red. Now, the other thing is, I have been playing around with embossing a lot lately. It's kind of one of those things that I've just recently found, and I know it's been around a while. So, in that cute little embossing tray that you saw of mine, there's a ton of different embossing powders. So, in my hearts, there's actually a little bit of silver and blue because that was still in my tray, but it ended up looking great. So, here's me trying to show you, and you can kind of see the glossiness. I think it turned out great. So now let's get on to making the page. So you can tell I have all of the supplies that we talked about earlier. And what I'm doing here is just kind of making sure, and this is something that I have had trouble with in the past. So just as a hint from you to me or me to you, when you have paper like those casserole dishes, that does definitely have a direction. So it can be text, it can be things like this. If you're going to do vertical versus horizontal, make sure you cut your mats to the right way, or else at least to my eye, sometimes it looks funny. So I had two vertical pictures and one horizontal. So I had to cut the mats to make sure that I had two vertical mats and one horizontal mat. So I ended up being able to do that. But that's another thing that has gotten me in the past, and I've ended up really having to just completely remat something. So these pictures are, like I said earlier, of Valentine's Day when we went to a southern place for dinner. And I really enjoy the fact that I can just do these kind of pictures and this kind of scrapbooking now. It's not always about the kids or about big events. Sometimes it's just about going to dinner. And this particular page, because we are in the middle of CalvinBall, and for those of you that don't know, one of the points in CalvinBall this time was song lyrics. And when I saw Black Eyed Sally's, that's actually a song lyric, and I was like, "Oh, that's going to be a good one." um, so that sticker is from Vicky Booten, and I put it on that speech bubble, which speech bubbles are also a point in CalvinBall. And it ends up falling, the sticker falls off because of the heat embossing, so I end up having to put some extra glue behind it. That's the one other thing I'll say is that when you heat emboss your wood veneer or even just generically other things, sometimes you're going to have to use a little bit of extra glue. So I end up liking the placement of these pictures, but I really want something to divide the page, and I don't have really enough paper to do any like a major border or do half the page. But what I had been seeing, and I've actually been looking at Heather's Crafty Life, and I know I've said this before, has a new sketchbook class, and I will try to remember to link it. And in a bunch of her sketches, she uses a scalloped border. And I kept thinking, oh, I really like this, but I don't have a scallop punch. And then it just kind of clicked with me that, oh, just take punch circles and cut them in half, and it will make a banner. So sorry about my head there. But so that's what I do. I take all of these circles that I punched out, and this is the one that I mess up because I cut it a different direction than all the other ones, where the squares are not straight, and so I ended up not using that one, but the rest of them I got right. So I ended up just using these circles, cutting them in half, and I'm going to use that as a banner across the page. I don't think I've ever done this before, and it really kind of takes the page, it separates it, and it adds kind of an area of interest. So I like it, and I'm grateful that I am in that class so that I could see those sketches and see kind of that design, and also that CalvinBall had punches and circles and banners. And so those three things together, I just got 3 points. Oh, and geometric paper is one of them. So 4 points, all for doing this one little banner across the page. So I like this, and I am liking how it's working. But those of you that know that listen in, I'm an engineer. Straight lines most of the time don't bother me too much, but I knew I wasn't going to lay these out right. So you're going to see me get my T-square ruler, and people have asked. I just found mine on Amazon. So just go on Amazon and look for T-square rulers. They're pretty cheap. I don't think you need to buy them one any special place. But I'm going to get a T-square ruler and just draw a pencil line that I can use to line those up so that they're all in the right place. That's just a super easy thing that you can do if you're just wanting a straight line, and you can always erase the pencil line. I end up not having to because you can't really see it. But so I'm just going to draw a pencil line right there, and then I'm just going to attach each of those cute little squares down so you can see me do that. At this point, I'm looking at this going, what if there was something else I could do to this page to kind of give it more depth and more kind of interest? And I decided, because there's another CalvinBall point for stitching, I'm going to go ahead and get my sewing machine out, and I'm going to stitch through this so that it actually looks kind of like a banner, kind of one of those banners that you would put up. So you're going to see me in a second here. Go ahead and get my sewing machine, and I'm going to go ahead and grab it and run a stitch through all of these half circles. Now, I have been a sewer for a lot longer than I've been a scrapbooker. And my grandmother taught me how to sew when I lived with her. And I have sewn baby clothes, and I've sewn the top of a quilt for my daughters. And the idea of sewing through paper, when I first heard people doing it, really kind of shocked me. But I have gotten over it. And as you see, I just run that right through my sewing machine. I don't have a special needle. I don't have a special set of thread. I think actually what's in there is my quilting thread right now, even. So it's a not a really expensive sewing machine. And if I had to replace it, I think I got it at Walmart. So I'm okay with that. I know that a lot of people that are really kind of big time sewers don't like the idea of using a sewing machine on their paper. I think you can alleviate some of your stress with that if you get a needle that's just for your scrapbooking or just for going through paper, and that way you know you're not messing with the needle you use for clothes or for fabric. But for me, because I haven't done a lot of sewing lately, I'm okay with just using the same machine for both. So now you're going to see me try to figure out where to put all of the pictures, and for some reason the the scallops kind of went lower than I thought they were going to. So I just ended up tucking the picture underneath them. I think that gives it depth. I think that kind of makes it look like they're hanging, and I kind of like the way that looks. Now it's going to take me probably a little bit longer to realize how off-centered the camera is. I overcompensated because the last video you couldn't see the bottom of the screen, and so now this video you can't see the top of the screen. So I promise, there we go, I promise eventually I'm going to get better at this whole recording thing, but hopefully you can see most of the page now. So I'm just going to lay out the, and of course after I move it so you could see more of the top of the page, I moved the layout down so now you can't see it again. So I'm going to go ahead and put most of the pictures on, and then we're going to talk about the different embellishments that I'm going to use. So I do have the word bubble up in the upper left hand corner. I am using the hearts that I made. You're going to see a couple of stickers. I'm trying to put something on each of the pictures. So this particular saying I found in the cut apart page that was in this paper line, and it says laughter is brightest where food is best, and I believe that, and I also kind of think it went with the whole picture. It's just this was a great night, and it was kind of fun, and we just hung out and ate fried chicken and talked and had a good time, and it was a good Valentine's Day for us. Not high key, not high stress, just kind of low key. So and I'm going to put that. Now, one of the other CalvinBall points was frames, and I really wanted to put a frame around the name of the place that we went, Black Eyed Sally's, and it's on a napkin there. So what I end up doing is taking the fork that I had and moving it over, and then I'm going to put a frame right around Black Eyed Sally's. So I'm going to get a point for the frame, and it's kind of made a point of where my title is because I'm not going to add another title to this. I'm just going to use that napkin as a title. Now, if my daughter watches this, hi Katie, she will tell you that the date stamp is my nemesis. For some reason, I can't get it on there straight and I'm always smudging it. So the 2020 in that February 14th, 2020 is a little smudged, but overall for me, that's a pretty good date stamp. So I have added that to on one of the tags. I'm adding a couple of the hearts. I'm just kind of spreading them around the page. I had 5 so that I could have, one of each of them. I had that little heart tag. I've had that from a Felicity Jane kit for a very long time, and just have never used it. And I thought, okay, there's a lot of black and white on this, and I just thought it went well there on the side of that picture. I believe the frames too are from that same Felicity Jane kit of die cuts. So those would count as part of the die cut point too. And I'm just thinking about that. So I think I actually get one more point because I didn't count die cuts. So label is a point. So I did put the date on a label. and you're just seeing me kind of put the different embellishments on. So I don't know if any of you are doing CalvinBall. I am trying really hard not to over embellish things just because of CalvinBall, but to just take points for what I have and to kind of think outside the box of what I could get points for. And it's making me go into my stash and say, yeah, hey, if I added a frame here, that would be kind of cool. Or if I had a tag, it would go on this page. Now, I'm not adding hedgehogs or unicorns or gnomes or any of those things unless it makes sense. And I have had a couple pages where it made sense. Same thing with rainbows. My day to day life is not rainbows and unicorns, although I wish it was. So I am not adding those unnecessarily. But for this kind of a page, when it makes sense to add extra things to get those extra points, I do. So one of the other things is wood veneer is a point, but this particular page, that wood veneer would not have looked right. So by using the enamel or the heat embossing, it made the wood grain look like red enamel. So that to me is kind of another way you can get points or just kind of use your stash creatively to make sure that you're taking advantage of everything you can for CalvinBall and for your stash. So think outside the box. That's kind of what it's done for me so you can get things used up. This authentique paper is the fourth kit that I've killed in CalvinBall. In other words, it's the fourth set of paper collection that I have used up to the point that I just have a little bit left for my stash. I've used all the paper. I don't have any full size sheets of paper left. So this is the fourth one that I've killed as part of CalvinBall. And to me, that is what it's all about. It's really about getting your stash used. So, this is the final page. I'm going to add a little bit more glue just to kind of stick everything down. And as I stuck that down, I had one more frame sitting there, and I just decided, you know what? I like that frame. And I think I want to use that one more frame on the picture. And I had one little heart sticker sitting next to it. So that's the final page. Here it is. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're having fun this month in light of everything that's going on. And hit subscribe and thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.